How much will Brussels' decision to delay the accession talks with the EU for this country could affect the internal security conditions in this country, regardless of its NATO membership?
It shouldn't affect it at all. I mean, I think it's important, and I don't speak for the EU or Macedonia, but let's remember that what the EU did was it didn't make a decision. It didn't say no, it just didn't say yes. So I think that North Macedonia's membership of the EU is just on, and the accession talks is just on hold. And I think that it would be a mistake for people to read over much into it. Everyone understands it's clearly disappointing. The EU itself said it was disappointed. And North Macedonia is obviously even more disappointed. But I think if you read too much into it, it is not a no. It's a not yet. And therefore, it's got to be put in that kind of context. I think that the Euro-Atlantic path of North Macedonia is very clear. I think the fact that Europe, NATO, EU see it as having that Euro-Atlantic future is still there. So hugely disappointing, that's all understood. But I would really argue we shouldn't read too much into it. Be very disappointed, keep going to get to the next stage, because it's going to happen, but don't read too much into it. Don't create a problem where you've just had a road bump.
Macedonia, as you know, has elections in the next spring. Will NATO membership keep this country secure from the so-called hybrid threats and foreign interference during the elections?
Well, I think first of all, I mean, once you're a member, you get the full protections. So you are as protected against hybrid threats as any other nation in the alliance. So you get, once you join, you get the full suite. But hybrid's a particular problem, of course. It's not like tanks coming over the border, which is bad enough, but is at least very simple. I mean, you know what the problem is. Hybrid is a terribly difficult problem to deal with, and a lot of that responsibility comes to the nation itself. When you have a national election, the primary responsibility for that national election, as it has been recently in France and so on, remains with the nation. I would be very surprised if you don't have a hybrid problem. You will get trolling, but it will not just be from external actors. Unfortunately, what has happened a lot, people have learnt that you can mess about with the internet, you can put out disinformation, you can put out lies a lot. So unfortunately, you'll have some internal people who will be trying to spread distrust and misinformation. Externally, we've seen that in the past that, for instance, Russia has routinely got itself involved. I'm not saying they will in the elections that are coming up, but quite clearly they have in the past. So it's a reasonable supposition that they might. Hopefully they won't, and I would certainly urge them not to. I think North Macedonia's path is so clear that to try and interfere with this election when the people of North Macedonia have made this immense choice, have set that course, it would be a huge mistake. But clearly people need to be on guard. There will be misinformation, either from external actors or internal actors. Everybody in North Macedonia must take care, they must read carefully, they must say, if I see something that looks odd, it probably is odd. If I see some information, where does it come from? Can I really trust that information? A lot of the guarding against the kind of misinformation and disinformation that will happen comes from the individuals being sensible. And people in North Macedonia are sensible.
In the neighborhood, there is still the ongoing dispute between Kosovo and Serbia 20 years after the war between the two countries. Is some kind of a conflict possible in that area, and what is the danger of that spilling over to Macedonia?
I'm not seeing that as a big threat. I mean, clearly, as you identify, the future of Kosovo, the dispute between Serbia and Kosovo is unresolved. And I would be dishonest if I wasn't saying that it's going to be very hard to resolve. So finding a permanent solution to that problem, I think, is difficult. And I think obviously it creates uncertainty in the whole region. But I think the chance of spillover into North Macedonia is extremely remote. We haven't seen it for many years now. I don't see it happening again. Clearly, if you go back into 2001, then it was a significant factor in what was happening in North Macedonia. But I don't think it is the case anymore.
Mr. Lejti, thank you for this interview.
Thank you very much.